Okay, so we're good. It's all going. So, hey, Roisin, so good to see you again. So,
Good to see you, soul sister. Happy New Year.
and you too. And we've just had a bit of a laugh trying to actually make this happen. It's taken a couple of tries or more than a
We,
few. So,
yeah, what do we call it? The new golden Aquarius. Oh,
crazy. The cosmic soup is changing everything. So we're really having to adjust. So it's when things are not working, we have to start digging deeper, right? This is kind of how just like the past hour.
yes, the past hour of our life has been quite amazing. And anybody that works with, high energy or an empath will know that their frequency affects everything now. And it's gone higher, hasn't it?
Yeah, 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 and it happens in ways that it makes you doubt your sanity. Actually, you can
Oh,
really
yeah,
you
no,
start
definitely.
you can start to wonder, is this actually me just doing something stupid, or is it really going on like this? I have to respond differently to my own life. This is kind of the question that I have. So, yeah,
It is. It's like that, as I was saying, Susan, earlier on to you. It really is the Alice in Wonderland. It's everything at once, all at the one time, all realities coming together, and you need to be aware.
yes, yeah, exactly. And that we need to come at this really deeply from our spirit, really deeply from this
Mm.
place of we are not this experience in this body, but we're huge. We're just vast compared to this little blip in time. Because there's some things that are going to really throw us a curveball, and we're going to have to
It's,
take our strength from what's already there, what is always already there, and I think that's something that maybe this next week, as we move into the Pluto in Aquarius, is going to show us perhaps even really quickly, like right off the bat, when Pluto goes in with the Sun in Aquarius, and um, and I think we might be, having to respond to something. It's not necessarily true for everyone, but we might be having to respond to something in a way that we just don't know how to deal with it because it'll be a new thing. Whatever the thing is, it's going to be a new situation.
yeah, definitely it is, because well, for a lot of people, it could be mind blowing, eccentric, out of the box, as they say, with these multi universes, coming together. Like we are in like so many states of being at one time, but we're only usually present in one of them.
Yeah, yeah.
You know.
And in fact, many of us are not even confident in trusting that there are more states of being. We can intellectualize that, but we don't actually live it. Like we don't really we know somehow
Yeah.
that we
Yes,
know,
we know.
but we don't really trust that it's true. So we still keep going with the fear and with the worry and the anxiety and the stress of the body and the everyday stuff. So this would be a good thing to practice, letting go and really being free now to really live big in our spirit, big in our understanding of self.
Is right. We need to be around good people that can, think outside the box and allow all those, new ways to be the new reality.
Yeah,
It's really about, isn't it, not really understanding life, but just trying to live it.
yeah, yeah. And also, like I've this last few weeks, maybe more intensively, even the last 2 weeks, I've had a few clients who are really pressed, really backs up against the wall.
Yeah.
Um, and I've just been saying to them, we are really only here to learn what it is to be human. We're really only
That's
here
it.
to learn what it is to be alive. There's nothing we have to do. There's nothing there's no income that we have to earn. There's no amount of relationships we have to succeed at. There's no amount of children that we're supposed to have, or no special job that we're supposed to have. We're just here to try and figure out what does it mean to be human. And in this particular moment in time, there's only your unique way of doing that. Nobody can do it for you. And so we have to also recognize that that's enough, actually. That's actually,
Yes.
it's already a lot. And in the bigger scheme of things, there's nothing more important than that. So we can drop all the other stuff, drop all of this idea
Yeah.
it needs to look a particular way.
That's right. And that's the what we need to lose is the many identities that we are attached to survive as the ego, and you know, the ego only wants a one way, and this is where it gives us the confusion, the madness, the distress, and it's not. It's meant to be any way, to
Yeah.
live any way that you can.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It's from my point of view, when I try to live, I'm hearing and experiencing and seeing so many things all in the one reality. You know, it's like a mind bomb or a magic mushroom, you could say. You
Yeah.
know, and you just, it's really trying to say, right, don't try to get a handle on it. Just take from it what it's giving you, and then see where it's trying to bring you.
Exactly.
Isn't it? That's what
Listen,
we
before we get too far along, I just want to make sure that we know who you are. I'm
who
so
you are, where you are, where you're
excited we
going.
finally have a connection, that it's actually
Working.
forgot to say your name. So Roisin Eve Campbell, you and I had a wonderful interview last July, and so some people will have met you that way, and others won't have discovered you yet. So I just want to make sure that people are aware that you are a relatively gifted, special person that is not the average, person on YouTube. You definitely have a knack for understanding, seeing things, hearing, receiving information
Yes.
in really extraordinary ways, and you have a wonderful insight into what's going on behind the veil, as it were, or behind the curtain.
And behind the curtain is right, Susan. It's an extraordinary life, and for people that are watching on my channel, I said this is Susan, and Susan, I met Susan through the gifts of the gods with her astrology, and what she has shown me and taught me through the astrology, the science of astrology, which I was unaware of, because I would just connect. So it is a real science, and there's a beauty in it, a divine science in it, I see. So that's the journey of the astrology that I have been open to through your lovely conversations and understanding of that by being with you over in Spain and everything. So we're learning many things from each other,
Yeah.
aren't we?
Yeah. It's true, and this is a really rich experience, because this every time we even have the most casual conversation, there's something incredibly wild that happens, and some really revelatory bit of information. I always kind of go away thinking, "Wow,
Wow. Yeah,
what was that?" So,
and
um,
that's what it's going to be, isn't it? I feel that when are the like-minded people, which we are, if we don't come together, we're going to be thrown together. That's what I feel that's happening with, especially with, you would know more about this, Susan, but with the Pluto leaving, I feel this long goodbye is coming to an end, and there's a big hello to everybody, and know who you are and show up as who you're meant to be.
Yeah. And this is in astrologically speaking, at the very end of every sign, there's an intensity that builds up. The last degree of every sign is always a particularly intense moment. And because Pluto moves so slowly, it's at the last degree of Capricorn for 2 years. And this is the second of the 2 years. So pretty much until the end of November, we've got this real intensity as Pluto is shifting between the last degree of Capricorn and the first degrees of Aquarius. So we're kind of one leg still in the last sort of 15 years of what I like to call late stage capitalism, and this transformation in what we know to be, or what we thought we knew to be, substance and truth and institutions and rulership and all these kinds of things, leadership, and now it's all just kind of being blown apart, blown in a new direction. And with that intensity then on the other side, meaning the 0 degree, the very early degrees of a sign, there's this intensity of the freshness of it. There's an intense new start. And so there can also be quite a lot of pressure, because it's kind of like when you're, like you're a kid and you get to go into a candy shop or something, and it's so new and it's so overwhelming that it can be really a lot to take in. And so there might be a lot of things that are coming up that we may initially make impulsive or even wrong choices about, that we'll have to, over the next couple of decades, we'll have to kind of revise. But it's it's got to happen this way, because we have to go from the intensity of what's painful, knowing that it's not working anymore, to the intensity of trying and potentially failing to do the thing that we want to do, and trying again. And, you know, this is what the next few years are going to be, where we just keep pushing forward in a completely different way. But, you know, we will fall on our faces every now and then we'll get up and we have to try again. But it's going to be very, very new. And that can be very daunting for some people, because we don't have a blueprint for this. You know, we never did. It's not like we ever did, but it's that we don't have a sense of what this new frontier is going to be, because it's much less tangible, much less earthy than it ever has been before. We're really in this age of ideas and, you know, everything to do with energy and air, and people who are not familiar with working with energy or working with, you know, more mental constructs can find that incredibly destabilizing. So we need to, you know, support each other as well in this process, because some people will be kind of losing the plot, and other people will feel really right at home. So those who are happy and feeling at home will need to kind of show up. Show up.
Yeah, that's definitely right. Like, with you knowing that I'm a Capricorn, and I can, you know, in my life the last 15 years and what is coming to an end, as I said, that there's an old version of myself that's gone now and I can't get it back. And parts of that self I would still like to hold on to and decide which parts can go, but I know that's impossible. So there's a sense of sadness there and loss for that, but also a sense of excitement for what's coming. And, you know, the information that has just been coming through to me is that we are living more in the water and air now. We don't need the roots of the earth anymore. We're becoming more air and water. And a plant, if you grow a plant in water, it needs little space. We're becoming less. We need less, but we'll have more space on another level by becoming less, you know, in that sense.
Interesting. Yeah. It's a time where we have to trust, you know. This is the surrendering to being guided into the next steps, as opposed to, and without, not necessarily without obviously thinking our way through it and recognizing what is
exactly
not, but we need to, I think, operate on a much more what you might call spiritually true basis, where we just kind of stop trying to control everything and move into a space where we're allowing ourselves to be guided forward, and you know, dropping these attachments to an old way of being, because that, however wonderful things may have been, whether they have been people or belongings or even philosophies and institutions, we do need to shift. And we can see that historically, that every culture, every civilization has had to move forward from something that was no longer functioning. And yet we still kind of muddle our way through, so we're fine in the end. It's just to have the confidence and the trust that we can keep going forward.
Yeah, that trust is correct in such a big way, Susan. You know, I remember the first time when Spirit spelled trust out to me, and it said, you know, the word trust means to receive universal support totally. Can you trust? I thought, wow.
Yes, beautiful.
You know, it wasn't even about me trusting me. I had to trust the bigger picture.
Yeah.
Oh, it was.
And for many people, it's trusting that however you show up, you have a legitimate role here. You know, you're part of that puzzle that we all are. This is every single version of us. Everyone that's here has a particular role to play. And so we don't need to make it look special. It's enough. You know, the fact that you're born is worthiness.
Yeah, that's enough. That's the gift. Like what was it Spirit was saying to me the other day about life? It said life isn't a right. Life is a gift to live.
Beautiful.
You know?
Yeah.
And I just thought, wow, you're right. It's a gift. You know, we're always being, you know, taught to try to be somewhere else or be somewhere else or be someone else, collect stuff to be who you are. You know, and everybody thinks they have to have certain things or certain ways and it's not, it's just be yourself, be transparent.
Yeah.
as much as you can. And don't worry if it doesn't sound right. Don't worry if the computer doesn't work. You know, it's a laugh, isn't it? It's a laugh. You know,
Yeah,
you know, and that's normal every day. It's a wee bit like, you know, when someone is coming to see you. I don't know if this happens to you, but when someone's coming to see you, you clean your house more. You
yeah,
know,
oh,
because
yeah.
you know
That's
what I mean.
probably the only
So
time. Yeah.
that's what I was saying to my friend, because we feel, you know, oh no, no, this is how we have to be or whatever. And it's about letting all that go and just being. And if we don't, we are being forced more,
Yeah.
aren't we? Because the stress level goes higher, the intensity goes higher, and the emotion reaction goes higher if we don't say, oh, come on,
Yeah,
stop.
yeah. That's the pressure is all there in our mind, isn't it? It's all the mind is the problem and the solution at the same time.
That's right.
I
That's
when
it.
I was long time ago now, I'm nearly 58, and when I was 35, I almost died. And ever since then, I don't know who I heard this from, but I got it around that time as I was recovering
Mm.
from all that. I got this little statement about life is a gift, you know, that life is a gift feeling. But then the next sentence that I really love is live every day as a thank you note. And
Oh,
um,
beautiful.
and so I see that gratitude is just so important, and it sounds really corny and it sounds really simplified, but it's really true that
But it's true.
when you just realize, oh my God, I'm awake, I'm alive, I'm breathing,
Yeah.
that's already pretty amazing when you think about, you know, the fact of how we connect invisibly with everything around us, how our breathing affects the plants, how our energy affects our neighbors, our animals, our friends, even at a distance. You know, I'm sure a million times over you've had just a glimmer of a thought of somebody, and then the phone rings, or you know, you especially. For the rest of us, it's more extraordinary. For you, it's every day. But you know, having that feeling of, you know, there's this thing that's there that's invisible. It's an invisible link between me and everything else.
Exactly.
We need to really, really pull that in now, and to recognize that that's the most important thing, and all of the other stuff is kind of a decoration. It's kind of
That's it.
icing on the top.
You are right. The other stuff is just like the decorations on the Christmas tree, but it's the tree you have to worry about. You,
Yeah,
the
yeah,
tree of life, and who you are and how you got where you've got. Everybody's a survivor, you know, and no one's getting it wrong. We're just doing the best we can with what we know and what we don't know, you
yeah,
know. And
yeah.
Spirit was saying that, you know, that we have to move from the materialism and come into the meaningfulness, to start to do things meaningful. And if it's not meaningful, you don't do it. Just
Yeah.
don't do it.
Yeah, that's
You know?
good. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, you realize like a couple of people this week were coming just on the verge of retirement, and uh,
Mm.
and so many of them feeling like, oh, so done. I'm so done with this.
So, yeah.
Really, but feeling guilty about retiring, you know, at the same time. And so then it's kind of like, well, you know, life is short, you know, so this is a good time to really listen to yourself after all these years, and really listen to yourself and just say, what if it were just about living for a while? What if it were not
Exactly.
about being productive, you know? I had a really interesting revelation from somebody I was listening to earlier this week. I've forgotten who now, but it'll come to me. And it was about the fact that this idea of being productive is
Yes.
actually an old relic of the slavery era, where the idea was you had to like pick a bushel of cotton, or however many kilos of rubber or whatever, because the slave master wanted you to do that.
Yes, that's right. Want you to do it. That's
And
correct.
yeah, and nobody was doing that before, like before the capitalist era, where slavery was really the principal source of money. Nobody was counting the hours that you worked. You just worked. If you had
You
work, you'd do it, and if you didn't have work, you didn't work, and you'd have your meal, or you'd sleep, or you'd whatever. And for eons, that's how life was, until only a handful of centuries ago. And now we think that's normal. And so we've taken on this kind of mental sickness of feeling under pressure to produce something, to be special, to be rich, to be famous, or whatever the thing is. And I think now in this era of air, in this energy of energy, the energy of energy, we have to stop focusing on those things, on these ideas of being weighed and measured by somebody else or by somebody else's needs, and just get on with it, and you know, be like the animals who are just kind of happy as they are in their own little skin, in their own little world.
And it is, we're afraid to, you know, it's an undeserving energy. It's not allowing yourself to have joy or happiness because there's a guilt, and that's a whole collective guilt that the ego holds on us. You know, not you. You don't deserve to be happy, and to shed that. And if Pluto can help us shed that, oh my God, let's celebrate.
Yeah, and that's actually very Capricorn energy, that energy of guilt, a feeling of kind of responsibility, being responsible, having to do all things.
Do it all, yeah.
It's a good lesson where we, you know, we have this this idea of responsibility, and it's like, well, responsible to what or to whom and why? And so we have to keep questioning where's our allegiance, let's say. And if we put our allegiance to our higher self, if you want to describe it like that, or to spirit, or to life itself, all we have to do is show up and be kind, and to, you know, help others flourish, and to keep flourishing ourselves. And there's no output required, you know, there's no thing that you have to do. And it's really breaking down that model of feeling like there's some kind of three-dimensional output that we have to do or create or produce for somebody.
Yes, that's very that Saturnian energy, isn't it? It's really, you know, where the Uranus energy is more fifth dimensional, is this way, is saying, hello, you know, it's the genius, as you say, and, you know, just let it all happen and don't worry so much about it. And that's the difficulty, to let it all happen and not worry about it. That's that transition. It may take us a year to go through that with this leaving, do you think, you know?
Easily, I'd say easily. This will be a turbulent year. And the traditional ruler of Aquarius is Saturn. And so the difference between Saturn in Capricorn, which is a daytime Saturn, and then the Saturn in Aquarius, which is the nighttime Saturn, is that the Saturn in Capricorn is about the structures of responsibility and authority, and, you know, the kind of top-down sort of regulations. And the Saturn in Aquarius is about what holds that up. The Saturn in Aquarius is the workers, the people, the masses. And it's those connections, that sort of what you call the fiber of, like the tissue or the fiber of society. That's the Saturn in Aquarius kind of energy. The Uranian energy is also attributed to Aquarius because it is so forward thinking, so future oriented, so like moving into the next thing that we don't quite know yet, but it's like breaking down the old and moving into the new. But I still find it really important to include that old Saturn energy of the traditional rulership, because it matters that we're all here for each other. And that's that Saturn in Aquarius. It's that we're connecting. And this is where we get these social upheavals and these revolutions and so on. It's the masses that turn against the master, as it were. And that's where the energy of Aquarius is also very strong. It's the social movements and moving in one direction. And the danger when Pluto goes in there is of dogma. And so we get these kinds of groupthink or kind of mass ideas that people subscribe to, that can actually take us really far away from what is true, because it can get really ugly in terms of a social dominance, you know, like we're the in crowd compared to the out crowd, or the ones who know and the ones who don't know. So we have to always stay alert to what is true, what is real. You know, love is real, connection is real. Our desire nature in terms of sharing and caring and supporting each other, that it's expansive, it feels good, it feels real, it feels supportive. And when we enter into this us and them dynamic, which is also Aquarian, we end up feeling heavy, and we feel crisp, like tight, and it just doesn't allow anything in. It doesn't allow the flow. because the shadow side of Aquarius is controlling, hyper controlling everything. And this is where we really have to be vigilant around propaganda and dogma and groupthink, and being susceptible to manipulation and cultish thinking.
Yeah.
And so there we have to really keep breaking free, constantly coming back to ourselves and saying, who's the boss here? Am I deciding for myself, or am I allowing myself? And you'll know it because it'll be physical. You'll feel it in your body. You'll feel the body responding. And it won't feel nice. It'll feel like something you're angry about, or it'll feel like something you're fighting against if it's somebody else trying to tell you what to do.
Exactly. That's that really owning that in yourself, and sometimes we can, if we get caught in the wrong direction, or we say we have found the wrong teacher or whatever, it's not that anybody's wrong. That's where you were meant to be, to learn.
Yeah. Yeah. That was the little red flag that you needed to see, and you saw it.
What am I learning about me in that situation? Because the old society is about, well, it's someone else done. No. Why did I need it? And what can I do with what I learned and move forward without, holding, how would you say, the problem or the anger at the situation or the person, but to move through that to a higher grade, a higher energy, isn't it really, I find, do you find, Susan, what I've been really experiencing the last year is a sense of carelessness, but not in a bad way, where people are less caring for each other, but caring in a newer way. It's a different type of caring.
Okay.
A caring without guilt, but a caring because I want to be here with you. Or before, people were doing it out of maybe for their parents or their friends or their work. Are you finding that at all? Because that's what I'm finding.
I find that with a lot of my clients, actually, there's the kind of a realization that they've been the one holding things together. And then they realize that actually they've not been in a place of, people have not been either grateful or even acknowledging that they've been doing this. And now they're ready to move away from that and say, you know what, actually, I've been here all this time, and that's why you've been able to do what you've done. Now I'm not going to be here anymore. And so but it also comes with that guilt. That's still that Capricorn legacy of this guilt, that feeling of responsibility. Then you walk away. And then this is how it works when people are manipulating, or when people are, dominating through gaslighting, even or something like that. They will make you feel guilty when you make a choice that's not good for them. That's a typical
not good for them
thing. Yeah, we see that with nations around the world now. We can see these different things happening, and we see it with individuals. And when you are made to feel guilty about your personal choices, but you realize it's a good one for you, you still have to keep walking. You still have to keep doing the thing that you need to do, because the other person is also meant to live their life. And the way that we come together is so that we can each learn how to walk in our own path, walk in our own, what you could describe as karma. And if we constantly rescue other people, or if we're constantly trying to, do things for other people, they're not growing either. They're not able to.
No, they're not growing. No, you're right.
You're being held back, they're being held back, and then the two of you are just going to have to come back and figure it out again in another life, where you have.
Yeah, it's like repeat, the button repeat on, it's really about, saving yourself, not in a selfish way, but in a selfless way, to save the self. And by saving yourself, everybody will benefit, because you'll show up as your greatest self, and that energy will shift everybody.
That's
and don't feel guilty for that. That's the new way, as you get into the airplane and they say, put the oxygen mask on you first. There's really a reason for that. Save yourself and everybody can be saved through that.
Exactly, yeah. And then we don't have this feeling of like there's this very trendy sort of last 10, 15 years, a very strong energy of victimization, like self-victimization. And it's very heavy. It's not helpful at all. So there's this real burden of a feeling of, oh my God, my life is so hard, or, whatever. It's too much narcissism. It's too much attention on the self, but it's not good for anybody. And so it's much better to be less. And it's not about not being compassionate. It's about helping the other person see how they're self-destructing. And this is also Chiron in Aries currently, where Chiron is all about where we sabotage ourselves, where we're not trusting or believing in ourselves, especially in Aries, which is around what we are ready to try. It's the pioneering energy of testing and experimenting in life and being unique. And so when we have this kind of energy that allows people to be victims, we're not
Yeah.
anybody a favor. So we're pulling everybody down to this level of, oh, you're incapable, you're weak, you're, poor you. And it's like, no, that's just a thought. So get over yourself and start to get involved in your life and
Yeah.
start to see things differently.
That's right. Because it show up in in many ways. For example, I had a customer one day that, his wife was praying for him. Okay. And he was with me. And I could see her standing behind him energetically praying for him,
Yeah,
And I had to say to her energy body, stop praying for him. Let him pray for himself.
good. Yeah, yeah.
Because you're stopping his healing. It's like a mother or father, when someone takes sick, of course we say please help or whatever, but in saying that, we actually can get in the way
Yeah.
of the being asking for help itself and receiving the help, if that makes any sense.
Absolutely. And it's a
Yeah.
beautiful point because that's actually something that a lot of people don't understand. I think we think that we're doing the right thing, but actually
Yeah.
it once again puts us in this kind of superior mentality that says, I'm strong, so I'll pray for you, poor little you.
Yes,
I'll pray for you. And
yeah.
so it's again, this is the trick of the ego. The ego is always looking for a way to look good, right? So then it's unconscious, of course. We're not trying to do these things or trying to control, but it's a way of always having a bit of the upper hand. And so we need to also recognize that as well, that pattern that actually keeps ourselves stuck in this duality that says I'm better or worse, the inferiority or the superiority.
Exactly, yeah, and afraid of owning that, power. So, when people say pray, I say pray for yourself. It's more powerful. It's more powerful you make the call than me make the call. I have to tell you,
Yeah,
that's
for sure.
and
Yeah,
that's
and then
beautiful.
the reason that it's so powerful is because there is no division. And so when you're taking care of yourself and when you are praying for yourself and when you're feeling happy yourself and you're boosting yourself, you're boosting everybody. So you're
That's it.
already doing the work. You don't have to separate as if you're separate. You don't separate yourself out and say,
No.
I'm over here feeling fine and I'll make you feel better over there. It's
Yeah, yeah.
like that. So yeah, so that's a great message for this age, this Aquarian energy coming in.
Yeah.
That's a very important thing to know, that we just need to take care constantly. How am I doing? How am I feeling? And it's not in that narcissistic way, which is
No,
about,
no, no.
I want things to feel comfortable for myself. It's just, how am I doing in the context of the life that I'm living right now? So that's all that
Yeah.
matters. The outer
And that's all that matters. We have to stop looking out at what other people are doing really, and that's really coming to the end of it. We have to stop looking outside
yeah,
and stop thinking someone else has got it all together. That's not so.
never.
No one knows what's going on in anybody's life. Sometimes as people say to me, how are you so good at what you do? I say, oh, great suffering. And they say, what? I said, I've suffered so much. And they go, what? I said, yeah, but I transform it. It's my choice how to use it. I
Exactly.
says, so I says, you can use yours as well. So it's everybody has a bag of gold.
Yes, exactly. Absolutely that. Yeah. Yeah. And that's what it's all about, how you can, and this is not about spiritual bypassing, saying, oh, that
Yeah.
happened, but I'm going to pretend it was all fine. It's just saying, no, no, that was really shitty. And I'm
Yeah.
still fine.
I'm still
Because that's
fine.
not who I am. I am the experience of all that. It's an accumulated history, but it's not who
Yeah.
I am. And
Exactly.
this is the gift of being able, and this is Pluto as well, that energy of Pluto, which is transformation and regeneration and bringing something of the power, the individual capacity to overcome and bringing it through adversity. It's not avoiding adversity.
Exactly.
A lot of people are asking me like things about the if there's going to be, they think, a challenging astrological thing coming up. And it says, is this going to be good or bad? And I said, there is no good or bad. It's just not like that. Things happen and you decide how you're going to learn from it. How are you going to grow through it? And how are you going to, the way I look at it is, how are you going to contribute to others' benefit through what you've learned, so that it doesn't go to waste, that you've grown. And this is the idea of wisdom. We're supposed to grow wiser. And
We'll
if we're
share
not
it.
sharing the idea, and it doesn't mean you have to get on YouTube or be or you know, be in front of a group of 30 people or whatever, but it means that you need to be able to share the wisdom with the person you sit next to on the bus, or you know, the people that
Yeah, that's everyday wisdom, and know that you are the oracle of that yourself. Anything that you've lived gives you wisdom straight away. That's
yes,
it.
exactly. Yeah.
Like, we're so knowledgeable just as a regular person. Some people think they need to be educated, or they, you know, they need to have a business. They don't.
No,
You already are the wisdom by being a human being and going through life. That's it.
for sure, for sure. Yeah, yeah. That's
Mhm.
beautiful.
It
Yeah.
is indeed, you know.
So what do you see coming then in this year? What do you feel is the most important thing that is going to be in
Mm.
the field?
Well, the mostly that I'm feeling, it's about a meaningfulness. That's
Yeah,
what I'm hearing a lot. You know, where we all have to pay our bills, we all have to think about, you know, customers or what we're doing, but it's how meaningful, you know, you have to balance it with that, you know, energy of balance of
yeah,
this year. And you know, really think about who you have in your life, and you know, how are you nurturing them and how are they nurturing you. It's not a one way. Who, you know, is everybody benefiting? And if it isn't, then there's something not right. Try
yes,
to balance more of that. That's what I am feeling. And then that water that's coming in, you know, it's a water consciousness, that like the earth, she's purifying, crying, but we're also crying, letting go, you know, and in knowing that we need less room, but we're going to create more space. There's keep saying that to me. And we are really going down a rabbit hole here. We're being tucked into more the magic and the mystery in more an eccentric way. So, you know, let go and let it come in. Don't try to understand it.
yeah,
You
yeah,
know, very much so. That's what, you know, my work is heightened completely. Like, I didn't think it could get any more heightened with energy and things going on, but you know, it really is like a fairy story, if you know what I mean.
yeah,
And with a Capricorn, you know, and you know, it has to be structure too with me, and tradition, this magic flowing in all the time, and then trying to bring that through to the normal everyday living.
yeah,
Um, and I'm looking at people and I'm thinking, you better get ready, because this is coming to your life. This is coming through your mind, you know, and this is a normal way to live,
yeah,
you
yeah.
know, you
Yeah,
know.
and we have to, although we're going into that space of compassion, that's that water and the connection energy
Yeah,
and the knowing through the energy and so on. We still have to nourish the body. We still have to feed ourselves, and we still have to put a roof over our heads. So we need to have at least a sense of, like you said earlier, a plan B, and then having just a small notion of how to live, you know, thrust upon your own devices, you know, without anybody else there. What could you manage? You know, do you know how to purify water? Do you know how to grow vegetables? Do you know how to
exactly.
take
You
care of
know,
soil? Little things like that, and then grouping your knowledge with other people, and making sure that that's not an uppermost fear, but rather just a knowing that this is a good thing to do, because this very complex time that we're about to engage in is the first time ever in human history where people have not had what you could describe as basic life skills. You know, so
mhm.
we're coming into a major shift, and most people are very luckily for in terms of how our everyday life has been so far. We're very spoiled, you know. We're very,
Yeah,
you know, most people in the West wouldn't have a clue how to dig a garden, or the difference between, you know, where to find pure water and where to, you know, you know,
yeah, yeah. No,
basic.
no, I understand. Maybe, you know, and that's one of the big sleeps that has happened to humanity, with having so much and getting so much.
Yeah,
You know, then you don't really go into the depths to understand even how to wire a plug. We don't have to wire the plugs now, but we used to have to wire them. You know,
exactly.
but
Those were basic things you
they
did.
were basic things,
Yeah.
changing the light bulb, you know. You know, it's really, that's that B plan, and a little bit of traditional energy comes back in to say, no, you're okay, you can do this, you know, you can chop the wood, it's
Yeah,
okay.
you can learn it. You can do it. Yeah, this is what we're equipped for. And in fact, the human body relishes the physicality of it. That relishes the fact that we need to get out and do something physical as
Yeah,
well. If we look just at, like, my grandfather was born in 1903. He was a Capricorn. He was born the 11th of January. So he was born just now at that full.
The new moon there.
Yeah. And so he was born 1903 and he lived till
Oh,
1995. So, when you think about that, he lived through the First World War. He went through the, Spanish flu, tens of millions of people dying. And then the economic turmoil of the 20s and 30s and the Second World War. And, it just went on and on and on in that lifetime. And we arrive in the sort of 60s, 70s, and things start to recede to the background for many people. It's like,
yes.
health is getting easier to manage, and transportation is more comfortable, and we can do so many things. And then you just basically retreat to your living room in front of the TV, and then you
Yeah.
think, this is life, this
That's
little
it.
thing. And then I'll buy, if I'm hungry, I'll order that, and if I want to wear this, I'll order that. And
Yeah.
then it gets to the point where you think, it's not fair. I have some kind of adversity in my life. It's not fair. And actually, it's the story of humanity, and that's what got us here. We are resilient beings. We have the DNA of generations and generations of people who have
Yeah.
gone through enormous, overcoming enormous things to get us to this point. So it's not like we are unable to do it. It's that our attention is turned in
Turned.
the wrong direction, and we just need to
That's
have the confidence to know that we're equipped for this.
Yes, and that's right. The ancestors, has done so much, and they really are with us so much now, and really coming into the forefront in
Yeah.
this Aquarius time here. Really, when I think back, like when I was born, my cot was a drawer in the house. You
As
know,
classic Irish, yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
like it's yeah. And as a child, I slept on the floor.
Right. Wow.
So I can go back there straight away, but I
Yeah,
can also still be here in this time and
yeah,
get the benefits. But I know where it was. We used to have an outside toilet.
yeah,
These things really teach you.
yeah,
Remember how you got where you got and how
yeah,
you did it and who you are. And that's, as you say, nowadays there's a great sleep. We've
yeah.
been cushioned, haven't we? We've been nearly living in the five-star hotel, the whole of humanity really getting too cushioned. What else would you like? What
Yeah,
else do you want?
yeah,
And when you don't get it, but
yeah,
it's amazing. Our memories can be short in that
yeah.
level of, how we got where we are today. A lot of people broke
And
through.
it's the avoidance of adversity that has us feeling weak. That's the paradox, So it's because we're avoiding feeling uncomfortable that we can't tolerate discomfort.
Yeah,
And
that's
there's a
correct.
really ancient teaching by Shantideva, who's a yoga teacher, a guru from centuries and centuries ago. And his teaching was that it is far better to put leather on the soles of our own our own feet, rather than cover the entire world in leather. And that meaning that we have to build resilience. We have to worry about what we need to change in ourselves to adapt to the world around us, rather than expecting the world around us to be comfortable and
Of
adapt.
course.
And
Yeah. And
that's already like 1,000 years ago. So it's part of human nature, but it's just gone to the nth degree now, where we're just in the extreme that way. So we really need to be not toughened up in the sense that we have to look for adversity, but we have to absolutely be prepared for it, in the sense of knowing that we can
we can
overcome.
do it. And it's a part of life.
Yeah.
It's not somebody coming to do something on you.
Yeah.
People take it too personally. I say, no, no, no. Sure, everybody's hurting, everybody's suffering. This is just life. Just, pull up your socks and get on with it. But learn from it, and don't lose your wonder. Get the wonder back.
That's
If
it.
you can, let the child come through, let the imagination and the curiosity come through. And when you meet another soul, even though they may be in a space, try to bring them to another space that they can have, you know.
Yeah, and we all benefit then when you make that little effort of lifting the next person up, then somebody comes along and lifts you up when you need it, and we
Yes,
all feel that love that's being communicated, even though we may not choose to use that word, but it's what it is.
it is
Um,
definitely. It is.
yeah,
There's great opportunities there to, I noticed the difference with you probably see it with the planetary movements, but I've noticed the difference with my work and how I see people. There's a really defined line now. There's people that are really totally closed off, where I never seen them so closed off. And there's people that's really awakened. There's like something there's a real, I'm thinking, what is going on?
Yeah.
And I'm noticing in the last year as I go out, there's people that are just like a wall now, a complete wall.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, really?
I think I don't get that so much because I think people self-select before they come and see me.
Oh, yes, yes.
So they're already they
They're already, oh, yes, they're already
yeah,
open.
and they get that I have a very low threshold for BS. So I think most people won't make an appointment with me if they want
Yeah.
to play that victim card. They won't get any solace from me. But
Right.
I'm there to boost people. That's so I think
Yes, in that way. What
yeah.
I mean is when I'm going to like the local shop or
Yeah.
I'm going out and I'm seeing the everyday people and I'm thinking, oh my, there's been such a change here. Something is
Yeah.
closed more for people and something is
100%.
opened more for people.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. And I think that's where we're going to go in even more extreme, more obvious ways as Pluto goes through
It
Aquarius.
is, isn't
It's going to
it?
become
Yeah.
more obvious. And sadly, that is the way people will just kind of sleepwalk their way through life and they'll never get it. So let it go. It's okay. And we just have to hope that they, at the very least, do no harm. That's the main thing. So that neither to themselves nor to the rest of us. But yeah, we see that for sure. I wouldn't say, some people say that more people are waking up. I'd say that has a lot more to do with the fact that we have a bigger global population.
Yeah, yeah, I think
And I
you're
mean, so statistically, of course, and also because we're now on internet that we can see and
mm,
and that we resonate with the people who are talking about that. But I do think that there is still a large group of people who are not waking up, and we have to then
definitely.
even more so take care of ourselves, because we have to expect that many people that we encounter are not going to be understanding what's going on, and they might react
Definitely.
really
That's
violently, or they might react really emotionally.
yes, or yes, rude in some way, because where before when I would meet people that were closed, I would get the message from spirit to say, you know why you're here, just leave a seed, push the door.
Right.
And they've stopped saying that to me, which
Okay.
is quite a shock because I'm now like 55 and I've been doing this from childhood.
Yeah.
And now when I go out and they say no, they let them sleep. I
Yeah.
think, oh, we're in trouble here. If they're saying let them, where before I would awaken them in some way. They said, no, it's almost, no, only the people that want to be awakened are what the energy's moving with, and the ones that want to, it's really unusual.
Yeah. It's yeah,
That's
and I think, at the end of the day, we have something to learn here, and everybody's going to learn what it is that they have. And so we just have to keep walking our own path and not worry so much about the others. So it's also a good thing to not put too much attention then on people that we can't deal. We're not able
yeah,
to change people. I mean, you're a different case because you work energetically in different ways, but on a day-to-day level, we can't change each other. So we have to just keep focusing in words. We have to just keep coming back to who we are. And
yeah.
I get quite a few people coming to me with a question about, I'm waking up, but my partner isn't. And what do I do? Well, you just have to keep waking up, and don't
Yeah,
don't
that's right.
force the issue either way. You can't force them to wake up, and nor should you necessarily walk out the door. You just have to kind of take it slow and don't look too far ahead of yourself. Just keep growing and do what you
Mhm.
have to do. And the message will always come through what to do next.
Definitely, if somebody is doing that and they're working on themselves, their light will go back into the family, and
Yeah. Yeah.
that plants that seed for something to start to grow. It may take a half a year, but everybody will be doing something if they're constantly working on themselves and bringing that back home or into the situation. It will make a difference eventually.
Yeah.
There's no
At the
mistake.
very least, you're able to process better what is going on at home, at the very least, so that it's a benefit for everybody anyway. And
Yeah,
so yeah, and I do believe, and I know you know this for sure, that we get told what we need to do when the timing is right. We get a no, in no uncertain terms, we get a clear message. It's time now. Do this, and
yeah, and we get it, and everybody knows that at the level. We may not choose to listen to it, but
Yes.
we get it, we do get it.
And when we don't choose to listen to it, we live through hell. That's, I can attest personally.
So that's called the suffering.
Yeah, yeah, that's the suffering. When you try and override the intuition and that voice that speaks right to your heart, that's where you get the suffering. Yeah.
Yeah, that it is, and I feel that people that anybody that's watching us speaking here are are awakeners. They're definitely awake, and they want to learn more about who they are, and just to keep looking in and clearing out of the way whatever's coming up in the way. Do you know what I mean? And just keep trusting in that there is a bigger picture going on here, really big, like. It's amazing.
Hey, that's a great segue into our retreat that's coming up in the first week
Oh
of June.
yes, yes, yes. Our retreat.
I want to just mention that the date of the retreat is extremely special because it happens the first week of June at a time when Pluto and Jupiter are trining in air signs. So Jupiter will have just moved in to Gemini, and Pluto will have just been in the first couple of degrees of Aquarius. And it's never going to happen again in our lifetime. And it's just absolutely extraordinary energy for awakening. And so we consciously chose that date. It also happens to be lovely season, in principle, a lovely season, although it's Ireland, so who knows. But do you want to say a little bit about the retreat at Trinity House?
When the retreat at Trinity House came together, as we were looking at the charts and the energy, and I'm a Gemini moon as a Capricorn as well, so it's, as you were saying, it's such a powerful energy there, and with Jupiter, with the abundance and the expansion to wake us up, in a good way. We can be woken up in so many beautiful ways, and that's what the retreat is about, really awakening people up to this mystical, spiritual and science of the stars. How to live in a new way. Like, people ask me many questions, and I think, God, this is such an easy answer, but people don't know it, but I know it, and you know it through what you know, and then I forget that people don't know it. So it's a way of sharing, awakening with the energies and with the wisdom and all that I have went through, and how I can work with spirit and talk with spirit, and then yourself and all that what you went through and what you know. Like, isn't that just a richness to come together? To teach people how energy comes in, the sacred net, how it all works together in your everyday life. If I walk into someone's house and see their furniture and their pictures, straight away I see a weaving, a network of what's going on. It's amazing how we are and how we show up without knowing we're showing up.
Right, yeah.
So I think that in the workshop we can teach people, first of all, their sacred map, and how they've birthed into that, and by that science that when you bring in to say, well, this is what you're experiencing because of what you picked, and then how we can clear it, and to bring in the energy and the essence and the ancestors and whoever else wants to come in, for that being to learn about themselves. And with the mystical energy of Ireland, like the Trinity House is so rich of what we've got here and what has been built for 21 years for me to get it. I just think this is amazing. Even when you drive in, there's a change.
It's just, if nothing else, it's an absolutely beautiful place to look at. So
it is. And we will take a day out in the retreat, as we were talking about, to go and visit the St. Patrick's birthplace of his church, and the different monastic sites that are around the area, and it's just tuning into that richness of who we are as this earth and this heart, the same energy, isn't it?
There's something about Ireland, the soil, the stones, the trees, everything breathes spirit. It all breathes.
It does. It's like ancient, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I think it's going to be lovely, because within our charts on how we met and the past life sister connection, I think that just put us together and said, come on now. You know what, why you're here. And I love working together in that way, Susan, because it can be really exciting and rich, and also we learn a lot too in it with people. Everything's learning, isn't it?
Yeah, and that's it. And then we upcycle our learning for the next time and the next time and the next time. So it just keeps getting better and bigger. And then people go off to their homes, their families, their work, and they do that. They expand and they help others expand. And it's just like this kind of web that's woven around the world. It's wonderful.
It
So
is. It's
we'll put
Nino
this
Santo, the holy children of of the world. We're all sacred children in that way. And
yeah.
the retreat really is to teach you your sacredness and the uniqueness and the specialness that you have, and whatever information that we can bring in through your own wisdom in the Trinity House, in that richness. And let it come up, and let's see how souls can really evolve and hear and see themselves. Isn't that the magic?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and what's always amazing when you bring groups together is the unconscious connections that we all have. So you might think you've never known these people, you have no idea who each person is, and then you discover that you're actually going through the same things and that you have this incredible bond, and it's because we all always had to be there together. And there's this coming together that is so profound that you couldn't have concocted it with your mind, but everyone
No way.
unconsciously, we're all being pulled to go into
Yeah.
that particular moment in time together in that space. And there's a reason, and we don't know what that might be, but we know that we're meant to be together and that particular time. And
Yeah, that's right.
it's part of how this energy works. We don't, it's this is the mystery, that the
Get
mystery.
out of the way, isn't that,
Yeah.
like when we looked at the charts and seen when we were picking the date, and with how powerful it was with Jupiter and Gemini and everything, and then the first time us coming to work together and the first holding it in the Trinity House, I thought this is all like,
Yeah.
something's birthing here, really beautiful.
Yeah.
And it's like anything, to see yourself grow and everybody grow together, and people, how would you call it, recover who they are or discover who they are inside. It's like, let's lift that veil off.
Yes.
Let's
Yes.
show you what you can do with this part of your chart. Let's clear this. Let's open this. And it's amazing, isn't it?
Absolutely. Yes. Yeah. And that beauty as well, what I love to show people is that life is fundamentally impersonal, and that we have so much that is already kind of there for us. And we think it's all happening to us. We have this feeling like, it's all happening to me, and I have to defend against all these awful things or whatever, or I deserve good things or whatever the thing is, but it's all just right there in the natal chart. It's all happening. We're not even walking, talking things, and it's all right there in the natal chart. So try and explain that one.
See, that's what I don't know, but I really love that part of it, Susan, a part of the astrology, because if I'm talking to someone and I'm not an astrologer at all, and I look at their chart and how I would see it through my, psychic, spiritual head, and I say, don't you worry. I says, if I put somebody else in that chart, they'll have to experience the same things. I says, don't take it so personally. That's what when you show people that, then it gets the ego to step back to say, oh, somebody else could be living this too. I said, yeah. So don't give it so much power.
Exactly.
It's
Yes, exactly.
brilliant.
Yeah. And nothing's coming at you from the outside. Nothing's happening to you. It's all happening through you. And that's where we want to build up that spiritual resilience and the psychological resilience that says, okay, this is happening and I can deal with this. It's I'm bigger than this, and I think that's for me, that's the reason I do the work I do. I suspect that's the reason you do that work, because it's showing people who they already are. It's just allowing them to see themselves, and it's incredibly powerful.
It's turning that light on to that knowledge that everybody has. And it doesn't matter who you are, how you're brought up, what school, that's nothing to do with it. We are already the intelligence, like we are the most intelligent computer there will ever be.
Yes.
That's it. Nothing can reach that. And once we connect that we are the intelligence and everything else is a secondary, then we can really focus on that. And I think in the retreat, it'll bring in those hearts and minds that really want to reach into that, their own intelligence, to live their life with that new sense of, no, I can do this because I can see it now clearer from the chart position, from the ancestors coming in, from whatever needs to be cleared out of the way.
Yeah, exactly.
It'll be, I think it's, you know, I'm very excited. I
Absolutely.
know, and I know you're very excited
Yeah.
to see what can unfold in these really, you know, special days at this special time. You
Fantastic. Yeah, it will be, it's an amazing thing because the group energy is one thing, the energy of the land is another thing, the energy of the context of the Trinity house, the animals there, the donkeys,
yeah,
everything that's there is all really they're designed to support us through whatever is going to happen because we don't know what's going to happen, but we know that it's going to be the thing that needs to happen in
yeah.
that.
It's like how our meeting happened, you know, when
Yeah.
Tech said, go and find this woman and talk to her, and she's coming over. I said, okay. And
Yeah.
that's what it is. If people go to the website and see the advertisement, you know, they may just hear, okay.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's all you need. There's no, you don't need to bring anything else, just that okay to it and say, and allow something to unfold.
That's it.
And if you've ever thought of trying to learn about yourself or a pattern that keeps repeating, this definitely course is for you. And I think, you know, it's really about, you know, so many beings will be pulled together to it. I know that for a fact. I know they'll just be
Absolutely.
pulled in.
Yeah, and then who knows what will grow from all of that as well.
Yeah,
So magical, magical.
it really
Roisin,
is.
it's been great talking to you. We'll put all those details in the description below the videos on your
Yes.
channel, on my channel, and different places wherever we need to post the information. And I will really look forward to speaking to you again at some point and having another chat like this. And at the very latest, it will be in June in Ireland.
In Ireland, yes, that's right.
Yeah, and so yeah, may we all make the most of this new energy and grow with each other through these really big, expansive times. And
Yeah, they're big times, and we
uh,
just need to support each other and be there for each other. You know, create many families, create many new families.
absolutely. And I'm super, super grateful to know you. It's just been such a joy
Oh,
and
it's
and a
brilliant.
complete trip.
You know,
Never could have imagined anything like it. Um,
yeah.
and I'm loving knowing you. It's just been amazing. So
And it's the same to me, sister. Really lovely, and I'm just looking forward to seeing the adventure.
yeah.
You of that. So lovely, Susan. Thank you again. Lovely to chat to you and all your lovely viewers. Thank you for listening and share. You know, I'm not a big media person, but share or like or whatever you're meant to do. It's beautiful. Share and like.
Excellent. Okay, Roisin, take care. Bye bye.
Okay, sister. Okay, everybody. Bye. God bless.